Hey guys, this is Ben with Joe's Gaming Electronics coming back at you with another video. Today, we're going to be replacing the battery on a Powerbeats Pro. The tools you'll be needing are a razor blade, tweezers, flathead screwdriver. We'll be using this glue to seal up the housing cover. We'll be using Goof Off to remove any extra glue residue, isopropyl alcohol, and a microfiber to keep things clean. So let's get started. The first thing you'll want to do is use the razor blade to remove this housing cover. Now this is a very delicate process because this housing cover is made of very thin plastic, so you want to be careful and you want to take your time and make sure you're not going to be damaging the housing cover or the housing itself. And we'll start off by getting the razor blade into this seam between the housing cover and the housing, just like that. And then we want to work our way up and make sure you're not cutting into the housing, but you're in fact going between the two. And then we'll work our way down, and we'll slowly work our way around the Powerbeat to make sure we get all of the seams up. So take your time. All right, and there we go. Now we've lifted the housing up on all sides, so you'll want to pick it up at the back end and lift it up and away from the B button. Just like that. Now you're gonna have some extra plastic hanging, so you can just peel that plastic off or even use your tweezers to get this plastic from the inside ring. There we go. Now the next step is going to be to lift this ribbon with the button off of the battery shield. So we'll get underneath it and lift it up and out of the way. And then we'll also want to lift this battery shield up. So we'll use the flathead screwdriver for that. We'll go right down here in this corner. Get underneath, lift it up just a little bit, and then pull back on this tab, and it should come right out, just like that. All right, we'll set that aside. Next, we'll want to warm up these two terminals on the battery because they do have a glue covering sealing them. So I'll use my heat gun. And be careful not to overheat the board, but make sure you're directing the heat just onto those two terminals. All right, and then we'll use the flathead screwdriver to lift all of that glue. Perfect. And now we can go ahead and unsolder these two battery terminals. All right, once those are off, we'll pull them up and out of the way. And we can use our flathead screwdriver to get underneath the battery at this corner right here, where you see this opening. And then we'll lift the battery upward. And there you go. We'll set that old battery aside. Now at this point, we're gonna wanna test fit to make sure this housing is going to fit back on nicely. Now is a good time while we have as much room inside of the housing as possible. So we'll set it down, check the fit, and we can see that there's a bit of a gap here from all of the expanded plastic that we lifted in the prying process. So one way we can fix that is by flattening out all of this plastic. And I'll just use the razor blade to remove some of that excess. All right, so once we've got some of that excess plastic cleaned up and out of the way, we'll want to test the housing cover again. So we'll put it in place. And as you can see, we get a much better flush fit on the top and on the bottom. So we'll go ahead and put the replacement battery in. You want to make sure that the green wire is on top and the red wire is on the bottom. So get that to fit, push it in, and then we'll line up these wires with the terminals. Get them as close as possible to make soldering easier. There we go. And now, for me, at least, it's a little bit helpful to have some helping hands. I know this is a little overkill, but it does help. And this is kind of a more delicate process, considering how small these wireless beats are getting. So we'll use our soldering iron, get some fresh tin on it. And then I'll use these tweezers to push down on the wire while I solder. Add some tin there. And then on the red terminal. And there we go. Put these back. Oh. And now we'll want to put the battery shield back in place and make sure there's nothing really sticking out. You can go ahead and remove some of this excess glue if it's still stuck to it. I like to take it off and just get some more flush fit. There we go. Now this guy should fit back in place just like that. This metal tab should slide in underneath the housing. And then this one should slide on the front side of the housing. There you go. You might have to wiggle it in place. It takes some time. Oh, there we are. Not quite. Alright, once you get that in its spot, you can go ahead and test the housing one more time and make sure nothing is sitting too high up. So the way this housing mounts is this little metal pin you can see here. This will actually clip onto this tab. So you want to go down and then pull it up, and now it's retained in place. Make sure it's sitting and make sure the button is still clicking. Yep. All right. And here's our last step. What we'll want to do, we'll want to make sure that this is sitting flat on the battery housing, or the battery shield, that is. And we'll want to use our super glue and go around this border where the plastic, where we had the excess plastic, and we'll want to make a nice continuous line of glue all the way around so that we seal out any sweat or moisture. So also take your time in this process and try to get the most consistent line that you can. Alright, now a little bit of excess glue is okay. Since we have goof off, we can remove that if we need to. So we'll slide this metal tab in place first. And then we'll press it down, give it enough pressure to have a proper seal. And now before the glue sets too quickly, we'll want to use some goof off and our microfiber towel and remove any of that excess glue right there. And you'll also want to be careful with goof off, especially not to touch the rubber bits. So you won't want to touch the ear hook because it will damage the rubber on that. right? Now we got some of that excess glue off. Then we'll use alcohol. Just do one final clean. And there you have it. That's the repair of the Powerbeats Pro. Thanks for watching. Please comment, like, subscribe, and of course you can find all of the tools used in this video on our website in the link in the description down below. I hope you enjoyed this video and have a fantastic day.